Oh gosh, spring training wrapped up in Florida with a 24-1 victory over the Cardinals. Ouch. Well, this is Mission Control. It is 2023, March 28th. Let's talk Stros. Most of the roster has been set in stone since the beginning, but there are still a couple question marks going into opening week. Obviously, we know Altuve will be out for a couple months. Brantley still has more rehab in front of him before he's ready for Major League game ready. But it sounds like progress is being made at least. Jordan has not had many reps going into this week, but all signs point to him still being that dude. I think he'll be fine. Just something to kind of keep in mind, that hand, obviously, as we kind of get going. Lance will be ramping up his throwing program soon and should be available for the majority of the season still, so long as there are no setbacks. Obviously, that's the keywords there, is no setbacks. The opening still for grabs in the grand scheme of things are the second catcher role between the two young bucks. Both will probably get some run here pretty early this season. Diaz has a little bit more position flexibility that he's been able to show off, but Lee has graded out higher behind the dish. We all know that Houston will probably always favor the leather work and get the D value behind the dish before the offensive value. Early on, both guys could be with the team, I think, with the injuries to some of the other squad members. Probably when Brantley would come off the IL first, most likely. So when he gets off the IL, that would probably send the other catcher down. So it wouldn't surprise me if we decide to roll all three going into this opening series. The other spots, David Hensley and Mauricio Dubon are going to be those utility filler players for the squad. Brantley will be out for a while still, and Jordan kind of questionable for a week or two. A guy that's been kind of climbing the ranks in a lot of people's minds is lefty bat Justin Dearden. He could be a nice addition to the outfield rotation, especially in one of the corner spots with him as a lefty bat. He had some really strong showings this spring. The issue with Justin is that he is currently not a member of the 40-man roster. So it would likely be another person first taking those hacks, or somebody would have to get DFA'd. Something to keep an eye on. Right-handed Bannon and Perez are both on the 40-man, while lefties Madris and Matajevic are on the secondary roster as well. Both of the lefties also have some time playing in the corner outfield. Matajevic mostly known for his time at first base, but he has seen some time out in the left, I believe. So he is another lefty option that are currently on the roster. So as much as Justin has maybe played into the hearts of several Astros fans, I think he still probably is a DFA late move, or probably a year away from really getting a real look at making the squad. But just something to keep an eye on as the season goes along. Ebb and flows of peaks and valleys and whatnot. In the bullpen, Houston is likely outfitted with an all-righty squad. No real surprises there. The back end five are locked and loaded with Presley, Montero, Neris, Stanek, and Abreu. Phil Maton should be holding down the middle relief spot. That takes us to 6. So probably looking at 2 more spots in the middle/long relief, eventually emergency starter kind of thing. Seth Martinez, Brandon Bielak, and Ronel Blanco will most likely be in competition for those last 2 spots. I think those are kind of the last cuts to be made. Bielak has the most starting reps out of the 3. Probably makes the most sense early on as the long man/emergency starter. Blanco and Martinez may need to get stretched out a little bit in Sugarland before they step into that kind of role a little bit more. But both have done multi-inning performances in the past. So it wouldn't surprise me if Blanco or Martinez start in AAA and one of them starts with the Major League squad, filling out that other middle relief position. And then as arms get tired or as bumps and bruises take place, having one of those guys ready to come up at any given time will probably be the move. In the rotation, the first group of 5 seem to be locked and loaded. Fromber at the top, getting in the opening day start. Christian Javier, Luis Garcia, and Jose Urquidy, all 3 coming off solid WBC performances, holding down the middle of the rotation, while young buck Hunter Brown likely getting to show what he can do while Lance ramps up. Through the 2022 season, We saw Houston utilize a 6-man rotation, and I would not be surprised if we see that again, especially as we probably will try to limit some of the innings on Lance throughout the summer. So having that 6-man option and being able to move a guy to the pen if we need to, if Hunter doesn't quite have it at that time, or if somebody else is starting to struggle a little bit, being able to downsize to a 5-man down the stretch is obviously an option. And then come postseason time, you're rocking your 4 best. The lineup without Altuve and Brantley does have some questions, and Jordan still not being maybe 100% early. So early on we'll be looking for Pena, Bregman, Tucker, and Abreu to kind of fill out that top half and carry the load while we get up to the full strength. Those 4 guys can do it. Obviously, you got postseason MVP type stuff with Pena. Bregman has been doing it for a while. Tucker has solidified himself as one of the dudes, and Abreu is a former MVP and coming in to fill out that first base spot. So, I don't think there's any panic with not having Altuve and Brantley around, and Jordan kind of still getting it ready to go, because those 4 guys can carry the load while we wait. Hensley, in a small sample last season, had some impressive peripherals and had a pretty good little triple slash from what I remember. So I'm hopeful that he can just slot in and plug in and help this lineup produce. The rest of the guys kind of behind him, play good defense, don't fall off the ladder, bring value, and just do your jobs. Hold down your roles. Many of the power rankings starting the season have Houston as number 1, which I get, but at the same time, losing the Cy Young winner and having the 2 biggest offensive value players on the roster in recovery / ramping up doesn't exactly inspire confidence that the pre-opening day feel of being the number 1 team. But plugging in Abreu at first base to help anchor the middle of the lineup does feel nice. The rest of the top 5 in the preseason rank, according to MLB.com, are NL teams. Then the Yankees come in at 6, the Blue Jays at 7, skip a number, Mariners at 9. So, getting the lineup to max capacity is going to be important, and not getting off to a rough start without the spark plug at the top. It's slightly concerning, but this team's built for October and should still be a pretty good lock to get to that point. Opening the season with the Chicago White Sox is no easy task, even though the Southsiders failed to meet expectations last year. New clubhouse atmosphere and manager, combined with the talent that they have in that order, means this could be a tough opening weekend. It is kind of amusing that Abreu will open for Houston versus his former team. But that also means, we're seeing Giolito, who could return to form. He's kind of had flip-flop years where one year he's not very good, and then the next year he's extremely good. So he's been kind of on that trend for 4 years now. So he could kind of bounce back pretty nicely. Lance Lynn, who's always fun to watch, coming off a good WBC set. Dylan Cease, who has stuff that could lead the AL in strikeouts. And probably Michael Kopech in Game 4. So, it's not an easy task with the way Eloy and Lou Bob can play in that lineup. Tim Anderson's no slouch. The White Sox are a good team, and the talent's there. So, opening with them, with us not at full strength, is kind of scary in some ways. But it'll be a good test run, I think, for some of these other guys that are getting the chance to compete. After the White Sox leave, the Detroit Tigers come in for a 3-game series before the first road trip of the year. So all in all, the season still looks to have a positive outlook. There's no major flaws in the roster construction that I see. Excited to get going for opening day, and we'll be bringing you hopefully weekly episodes throughout the season, recapping series, talking news, and hopefully getting ready for another trophy ceremony in Houston. So if you made it this far, make sure to give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, please. Leave a comment about your favorite team / your predictions for the AL West and Houston Astros. If you would like to visit our merch store, here are a few things that we have. We have the hat and the upside down shirt and this tumbler. So if you would like to visit our website, www.swingforcontact.com, the merch store is active there, along with some other content of ours, including our weekly podcast and some other things coming soon. So be sure to join that mailing list, and we will see you next time. This is Mission Control, over and out.